pulled off about 20 gallons of honey the other day, and got the bees over here cleaning up all the excess cappings and cleaning these supers out. Turned out pretty good this year. All right, well, we got a little side project going on here today. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna be doing. For some reason, this one area right here tends to be a little low spot, and it basically just comes here, puddles here, runs down the side of the sidewalk, runs across the sidewalk and down this side. And not only is it washing the mulch away and the pine needles, but you can see it's taking a toll on this sedum. So I've really been brainstorming the last couple weeks to come up with a solution to this. And I really wanted to put a 2x2 drain basin here and run an 8 or 10 inch pipe through there to connect to my other drain basin to go out to the woods. Problem is, I don't want to destroy this yard. Plus I've got irrigation laterals that run this way all along through the front yard, and I'd have to tunnel under pretty much all of those. The other option would be to take it this way, which I've got wires and irrigation pipes running down the edge of the concrete. I've got my charter line running down the edge of the concrete or gravel, and I've got a gravel slab here, so I'd have to come up about 10 feet to get in front of it. So I really didn't want to do that either. So the other option that I have is to tunnel under my concrete, which I have a pipe under it. I actually have a 4-inch pipe under it, but I've already used it for some irrigation wires. And I'm going to connect it to my downspout. This gutter pipe, I came down and made an elbow, and it came straight out to the concrete about 4 feet. So somewhere right in here, it's got another elbow on it that turns and goes that way. So this is where I'm gonna start digging. As soon as it dries up, we've got a lot of new mulch going in this area, so I'm not really worried about mixing the mud with the pine needles and mulch. All that's coming out. Typically I throw it in a tractor bucket or something to try to keep it separate and clean, but no real reason to here. So one way I know that I'm in the right spot is this area was dug with a backhoe, and then when it's backfilled, it hasn't been driven on or anything ever since it's backfilled, and I can just tell by digging in it. It's been dug up before because it's super loose. So this T is going to go where our other pipe's going to be tunneled under the concrete. So there's your standard elbow. They call them an L actually. And this is what we cut off. Here's your long sweep one. And if you hold them side by side, you can see that we're about a half a flange longer. So this should work just fine. But what I did is went ahead and bought one of these street elbows that actually has a male end on it. And so you can take a coupling, glue it onto that male end, and then you've got that much longer. So it looks like that's gonna work out pretty good. I'm just gonna have to get a couple foot section of pipe, and we might end up having to actually cut just a little bit more off of this section that goes back to the gutter. So one thing I can tell is a potential problem with this piece already is that the weight of the dirt's got it kind of oblong, so it's gonna be kind of difficult to get it on. But it looks like we got it on pretty good. It looks like it's seated really well on the inside. Now I'm just gonna dry fit and cut this long section, make sure I got all the joints right and everything's lined up well before we start putting glue on them. Yeah, I'll be pretty quick about it before the glue dries up, but what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on all 4 pieces, and then we're going to try to get the pipe end in first into the T, and then we should be able to have enough wiggle room to kind of leverage in the elbow side. If you put the elbow side in first, you won't have any room, so just gotta kind of get down there and move it around and just see which way you got the most play back and forth, and then you can just figure out which way is going to go in easiest for you. All right, well, I just dry stacked a piece of pipe in here and put a cap on it for whenever I bore into the sidewalk. I don't want to get a bunch of dirt and water down in it. And then I'm just going to backfill this area just in case we get a huge rainstorm or something. So the idea behind tunneling under this concrete is you gotta get you a big enough place to work to get your pipe down up under the ground. So I'm gonna have to dig back into the landscape bed just a little bit, and then basically I'm gonna put the pipe down in there, sort of get it started with a shovel. So right here's where I'm gonna start my pipe. So I'm just gonna use the shovel to get as much dirt out from up under the concrete as I can. I'm gonna start with a shorter piece just to see how this goes, and then I'll try to get it back out and put my long piece in there so I don't mess it up if I do something wrong the first time. So far we've moved about 10 inches. That's going through pretty easy. We're going to fire up the pressure washer and see how that helps it. Pressure washer seems to really soften it up. I'm running a 0 nozzle on this. I'm basically just running the pressure washer in it for 5 to 10 seconds. Then I'm beating the pipe through with this sledgehammer and then just repeating the process, and it's going right in. Now that I see that it's going to work just fine, I'm going to put in the piece of pipe that I intend on leaving under the concrete. All right, so far what I've noticed is the pressure washer works really well when you can get the end of it up to where the dirt is. But as the pipe gets longer, the pressure washer is just blowing pressurized water and whatever water's inside the pipe. So it's really not helping you out too much. But I got a longer wand here that I think is going to work. I believe it's a 7-foot wand, so that should get us all the way to the end of the pipe where the dirt actually is. So far what I found out, I got the pipe through, but the end of it's got crimped up, and I think it's because it's thin walled PVC. Just about every possible combination of fit, and I cannot get this pipe to fit. I've even hand dug up under the sidewalk and I just can't get the pipe to get lined up with the elbow. And in hindsight, I should have glued the T on after I got the hole drilled. I just expected to knock the pipe through the hole just right where I wanted it to, but it just didn't happen like I thought it would. So I picked up one of these Fernco fittings and it tightens down on top of the pipe, and it's really good for anything low pressure, and it'll hold a really tight seal. Basically just run it on with these 1/4-inch nut drivers, and it seems to work best on schedule 40, but what I found on this thin-walled stuff is just hook it around a coupling and it'll tighten down just like a schedule 40 pipe. All right, back at it, day 3. I just got home from work and it's been storming all around us all day. Luckily, we haven't got any rain at our house, so I'm gonna try to finish this up today. All I do is need to connect the drain basin over here to my pipe under the concrete and then just backfill everything, hopefully before the rain gets here. I can hear the water already running in this gutter beside me. I definitely need to do some rocks around the edge of that drain basin. It's going to wash mud bad right there. And hopefully do that tomorrow and put some mulch in that landscape bed, get everything cleaned up real nice. Just want to give y'all a final update on this drain basin project. Here's the side right here where we dug and tied into the gutter line, tunneled under the concrete. And I just decided to do some rocks around the edges here. Just had red mud here and I didn't really like the looks of it. And I couldn't really think of anything to put there to keep it from washing. I knew mulch wouldn't really hold, so decided to go with these rocks. And then I decided to put some masonry sand down in there just to cover up the mud. And I didn't do anything special. These rocks are still loose, but we haven't had any washing. We've had 6 or 8 rainstorms that have just been torrential rainstorms, probably an inch or more an hour, and haven't had anything washing at all through this area. And I haven't seen anything washing across the concrete like I had been seeing prior to putting this drain basin in. So so far everything's just worked just perfect on it. Got a little bit of mulch spread in the bed, really got it cleaned up nice, all the bushes trimmed. Got some more plants planted on the side here. So everything's coming together pretty nicely. I think it tied in pretty good to the sidewalk. Appreciate y'all watching. If you got any questions or comments, let me know. I'll be sure to try to answer them.